the great helmsman Mao Zedong, and Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek. These historical figures are commonly considered the main protagonists of the Chinese Civil War. The conflict began in 1927 and lasted for over 20 years. Mao Zedong was the leader of the Chinese Communists, while his political opponent Chiang Kai-shek headed the conservative nationalist party, the Kuomintang. However, throughout the Civil War, the most powerful figure in the Middle Kingdom was Big-Ear Du. This was the nickname of Du Yuesheng, the boss of the Shanghai criminal gang, the Green Gang. He was known by various names: the godfather of the Opium Mafia, the Black Governor of Shanghai. But behind all these nicknames was one person, Du Yuesheng. An extremely unconventional figure, he was perhaps the most influential authority in the criminal world across the country in the early 20th century. One of the first skyscrapers in Shanghai was the Zhonghoi Bank building, owned by Du Yuesheng. And this is his personal mansion. Today, it's a respectable hotel. Big-Ear Du's path to wealth and power was fraught with difficulties. He was born into a poor peasant family and lost both his father and mother in early childhood. To survive, he took on any job available. This big-eared village boy ended up in Shanghai, where he was hired in a fruit merchant's shop. In the early 20th century, Shanghai was a major city that rivaled New York or any other European capital. It was called the City of 1,000 Brothels. After looking around, Du realized that he wouldn't get rich selling fruit. That's when chance brought him together with the Green Gang. The Green Gang controlled all the brothels and casinos in Shanghai. Du Yuesheng quickly adapted to the criminal world. He was helped in his criminal career by the gang boss's mistress with whom he had an affair, and soon Yuesheng became the boss himself. In 1924, the governor of Shanghai ordered the arrest of the Green Gang boss, nicknamed Pockmarked Huang, and demanded a ransom for him. Du Yuesheng was the one collecting the necessary sum, and after that, he paid the ransom. However, after his release, the gang boss lost his authority, and he had to hand over the reins to Du. Du Yuesheng became the boss of the Green Gang at the age of 36. He established connections at the highest levels, from Chinese courts to the French consulate. Yuesheng lent large sums to European diplomats and businessmen and then blackmailed them. At that time, foreigners in Shanghai held significant influence. As early as the mid-19th century, the city was divided into several separate quarters, which were leased to Western countries. These areas were called settlements or concessions. To drive through Shanghai, one needed several driver's licenses, in this case, even 3, because Shanghai was divided into 3 large sectors. One was French, another Anglo-American, and the third was Chinese. This was very inconvenient because each of these districts had its own laws and administrative requirements. Thanks to his international connections, Du Yuesheng came to the attention of Chiang Kai-shek. The leader of the Kuomintang quickly realized that a bandit holding foreign diplomats and businessmen hostage was the ideal ally in the fight for the largest Chinese metropolis. Initially, Big-Ear Du helped Chiang Kai-shek secure the support of the authorities in the foreign concessions of Shanghai, and then the Green Gang's fighters cleared the city of communists. At first, the nationalists of the Kuomintang, together with the communists, formed a united front against the Chinese militarists who had seized power after the fall of the Qing dynasty. But after defeating their enemy, the former allies found themselves on opposite sides of the barricades. On March 21, 1927, at the call of the Communist Party of China, a general strike by trade unions began in Shanghai, which escalated into an armed uprising. Workers' units occupied the entire city, except for the foreign concessions. Chiang Kai-shek decided that if he didn't intervene, the communists would seize power not only in Shanghai but also in the country. That's when the fighters from the Green Gang came to his aid. The events of April 12, 1927, went down in history as the Shanghai Massacre. On Du Yuesheng's orders, his thugs killed between 4,000 and 5,000 communists in a single day. There is still no precise data. Anyone who aroused the slightest suspicion was eliminated. The unfortunate were shot in the back of the head or even beheaded. The massacre began at 3 in the morning, signaled by a ship's siren. Moreover, the chairman of the Shanghai Municipal Council, American lawyer Sterling Fessenden, knew about this horrific operation in advance. Furthermore, he provided the Green Gang's thugs with weapons, transportation, and passes to travel through the foreign concessions. The next day, on April 13th, thousands of students and workers took to the streets to protest against the actions of Chiang Kai-shek and his allies in Shanghai. But the soldiers of the 26th Army of the Kuomintang opened fire on the demonstrators. According to various sources, between 100 and 300 people were killed. The killings of communists and terror continued for many weeks across China. On Chiang Kai-shek's orders, several thousand people were arrested and hundreds were executed. After the crackdown on political opponents, the leader of the Kuomintang seized sole power in the country. The communists were forced to go underground. Civil war broke out in China, and throughout this time, Chiang Kai-shek effectively became the head of state. In 1928, the Communist Party of China was forced to hold another congress abroad to avoid repression by the Kuomintang. Comrades from the Middle Kingdom were kindly hosted by Moscow. The arrival of Chinese communists in the USSR holds a significant place. Meanwhile, Chiang Kai-shek celebrated his victory. As a reward for the Shanghai Massacre, he appointed Du Yuesheng as the chairman of the Opium Suppression Bureau. The boss of the Green Gang gained virtually unlimited opportunities in the drug trade. Additionally, Big Ear Du assisted the Kuomintang government with finances and, in return, gained control over trade unions. Du Yuesheng was a man who could profit from virtually anything. Even in the 1930s, when Japan occupied part of China, he managed to engage in speculation in the occupied territory. The criminal authority and drug dealer enjoyed playing the role of a respected politician and businessman. The press referred to Big Ear Du as one of China's prominent financiers, bankers, and industrial leaders. Although Du was essentially an uneducated country bumpkin, he actively sought out cultural experiences. For example, he sponsored the film industry, supported jazz musicians, and even organized a dance floor queen contest in China. Nevertheless, Chiang Kai-shek always treated Du Yuesheng with dislike. The leader of the Kuomintang understood that friendship with a bandit undermined the authority of the head of state. Their relationship completely deteriorated after World War II. In the late 1940s, Chiang Kai-shek's son, Jiang Jianwo, launched a large-scale anti-corruption campaign specifically in Shanghai. Du's relatives were at the top of the arrest list. However, the mobster managed to protect them. He began blackmailing Chiang Kai-shek, threatening to expose all his dark dealings, especially those of his relatives, if trouble started. In 1949, Chiang Kai-shek and the Kuomintang lost the Civil War. The People's Republic of China was proclaimed, led by the chairman of the Communist Party, Mao Zedong. Chiang Kai-shek and his associates fled to the island of Taiwan, taking with them almost the entire gold reserve of the Middle Kingdom. Du Yuesheng went to Hong Kong, where he died in 1951 at the age of 62. His drug addiction was his downfall. Rumors circulated that Soviet intelligence agencies were hunting Big Ear Du. There is no evidence to support this. However, the fact that the USSR made a significant contribution to the victory of the Chinese communists in the Civil War is indisputable.